So imagine you are stepping into a gym for the very first time, like you have never lifted weights before in your life.
Right, complete beginner.
Exactly. You walk out onto the floor, you look across the room, and you see this Olympic powerlifter squatting, I don't know, 400 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And in that exact moment, you just immediately decide that you are a complete failure, just because you can't lift what they're lifting.
Which is, I mean, logically, that's ridiculous, right?
It sounds completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you are actively learning English right now, and you scroll through social media on a daily basis,
Yeah.
well, you are likely doing this exact same thing to your brain every single day.
It is, it's a phenomenal trap, honestly. And it's one that completely derails the entire language learning process.
Yeah, which is why we're getting into it today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
We are pulling from a really fascinating stack of transcripts today from the Mr. English Fluent Tutor channel.
Such a great chat.
It really is. And the core mission of our deep dive today is to explore how to escape what those sources call the comparison trap.
Yes, getting out of that trap.
Exactly. We're going to talk about how to stop feeling terrible while you're scrolling online, and crucially, how to build an unshakable sense of self-worth while navigating the very vulnerable journey of learning a new language.
It's so vulnerable. And right out of the gate, I just want to say there is a foundational premise from these sources that we really need to establish for you, the listener.
Definitely.
You, listening right now, are welcome here exactly as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Your current English level, your background, the mistakes you made yesterday, none of that diminishes you. Your value as a human being is already complete.
That is so important to hear, because you cannot hate yourself into becoming a better version of yourself.
Right. Genuine growth only happens from a baseline of self-acceptance.
And that baseline is often, well, it's the hardest thing to maintain, especially when we look at the evolutionary mismatch of our modern world.
Oh, the evolutionary mismatch. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I mean, think about why the comparison trap exists in the first place. For thousands of years, the human brain evolved to compare itself to a small tribe of maybe, like, 100 or 150 people.
A tiny community.
Exactly. Assessing your status within that small group was a literal survival mechanism. If you were falling behind, you needed to know so you didn't get left out in the cold.
But now we've taken that ancient survival hardware and we've plugged it into the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
We aren't comparing ourselves to the village anymore. We are comparing ourselves to the top 1% of 8 billion people, broadcast directly into our pockets.
Which is just a recipe for psychological exhaustion. I mean, the sources share a very candid story from Abel, who is one of the original creators of the channel, that illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, I love Abel's story. It's so relatable.
It really is. He talks about sitting on his couch, just opening his phone and immediately being hit with this absolute barrage of perfection.
Right, like someone's breathtaking vacation photos in a foreign country.
Yes, or someone announcing they just landed a prestigious dream job. And the most triggering one for a language learner, someone speaking flawless, effortless English online.
Without a single hesitation. No searching for words, just pure fluency.
Yeah. And Abel admits that his immediate reaction wasn't inspiration, it was devastation.
Wow. Yeah.
Devastation.
Yeah, he looked at all these shiny moments and thought, why is my life not like that? He walked away feeling completely inferior. His own life, his own struggles, suddenly felt fundamentally less than the lives he was scrolling past.
And that word right there, inferior, that's actually our first vocabulary word for today.
Right, inferior.
It's such a heavy word, but it perfectly captures the emotional state of the comparison trap. Inferior means feeling lower in status or quality than others. Feeling, like you said, less than.
But the sources point out something huge here. Feeling inferior in this context is based on an entirely flawed premise.
There's this brilliant quote from the material. You are comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
Yes, which goes right back to the gym analogy we started with.
Exactly.
The Olympic athlete has been training every single day for 10 years. You have been in the gym for 10 minutes.
Right. Your chapter 1 isn't inferior to their chapter 20. It's just the beginning of your story. Making that comparison isn't just illogical, it actively damages your motivation.
It makes you want to just drop the weights and never come back.
Exactly.
So if our brains are tricking us into comparing our beginning to someone else's peak, we really have to ask what we are actually looking at on social media.
Yeah, what is the actual reality there?
Because we aren't comparing our real life to their real life. We are comparing our real, messy, normal life to their highlight reel.
Which brings up the second key vocabulary word.
Yep, highlight reel. A highlight reel is a collection of only the best, most beautiful, and most exciting moments of someone's life.
Like in sports broadcasting, right?
Exactly like that. The sports channel doesn't show the players, dropping the ball or sitting bored on the bench or icing their bruised knees in the locker room.
No, they only show the home runs and the game-winning shots.
Right. And social media is
Yeah.
exactly the same mechanism applied to everyday existence.
Yeah.
Nobody is posting a video of themselves crying on the bathroom floor
Mm.
because they feel totally overwhelmed.
Or, setting up a ring light to film themselves struggling for 20 minutes to remember a basic English grammar rule.
Right. They only post the victory.
And this is incredibly dangerous for English learners specifically, because when you see a fluent speaker online, all the friction has been edited out.
All of it.
You don't see the years of frustration. You don't see the millions of mistakes. You miss the embarrassing moments where they used the completely wrong word in a restaurant and their face turned bright red.
Yeah, you just see the polished, confident final result.
Thanks.
So, knowing all this, how do we hack our own attention? Like if our brains are wired to compare and our phones are just endless delivery systems for highlight reels, should we just throw our phones in the ocean?
Just become a digital hermit.
Yeah. I mean, never use social media again. It sounds appealing sometimes.
It does sound nice, but the sources strongly advise against that approach. It's not very practical. Social media is a tool. The goal isn't to ban it, but to change our internal reaction to it.
Okay, so how do we do that? What are the actual steps?
Well, the sources provide some really concrete, actionable steps. And actionable step 1 is simply notice the comparison.
Notice it. Just awareness.
Yes. When you are looking at your phone and you start to feel bad, pause and name it. Literally say to yourself, oh, I am comparing again.
Like calling it out in real time.
Exactly. The sources note that simply naming the trap gives you power over it. You remind yourself, I am looking at a highlight reel, not the full picture.
Wow. That's powerful because you're interrupting the emotional reaction, right? You pull yourself out of that limbic system, panic, and put logic back in charge.
Precisely. But once you've stopped that spiral, you have to do actionable step 2, which is redirect to your own progress.
Redirecting. Because your brain naturally wants to ask, why are they so much better than me?
Right, which is a toxic question. You have to consciously redirect that attention. Ask yourself instead, how am I better than I was last month, or last year, or even last week?
Because that is the only metric rooted in reality. You are comparing yourself to your own baseline.
The sources emphasize that your only true competition is yesterday's version of yourself.
I love that. And recognizing that progress really requires celebrating the small wins, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because according to the sources, noticing small wins like maybe just understanding 20 minutes of this deep dive today, or trying to say one new English word that actually releases dopamine in the brain.
Which is huge. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It trains the brain to feel more motivated and confident.
Exactly. You are wiring your nervous system to associate learning English with a positive reward. You're building confidence every time you say, hey, I did that. Good job.
But this brings up a really critical pivot. Once we stop seeking that external validation from social media,
Right.
how do we actually build up our own internal sense of worth? We have to do it through daily practice.
Yes. And that brings us to our third vocabulary word, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Gratitude is the feeling of being deeply thankful and appreciative. And the sources explain that it is the ultimate antidote to the inner critic and the comparison trap.
Because it shifts your focus, right?
Right.
From what you lack to the gifts you already possess.
Exactly. And the sources give us actionable step 3 for this. Every single night, before you sleep, write down or say aloud 3 things you appreciate about yourself.
And ideally, do this in English, right?
Yes, do it in English. But, crucially, the sources specify that these 3 things should not just be about your achievements or your productivity.
Oh, this is such an important distinction.
Right. Focus on your character. So instead of, I am grateful I finished my homework, it's, I am grateful that I am a patient person. Or, I appreciate that I kept trying to learn English today, even when it was really hard.
It's so beautiful to separate our value from our productivity like that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that powerful analogy from the sources, the one about the $100 bill.
Oh, yes, share that one. It's so good.
Okay, so think of a brand new, crisp $100 bill. It is worth $100, obviously.
Right.
Now, if you drop it on the ground and you step on it and you crumple it all up into a ball, How much is it worth now?
It is still worth $100.
Exactly. Your value, like that bill, is inherent. It does not change just because you made an English mistake or had a tough day.
Your value does not decrease. That is such a vital operating system to have when you're learning.
It really is. So let's just quickly recap the main takeaways for you, the listener, so you can carry these with you.
Sounds good.
Number one, social media is just a highlight reel. Do not let it make you feel inferior.
Number 2, when you catch yourself comparing, notice it. Just name it, and then redirect your focus to your own progress.
And number 3, practice gratitude. Write down 3 things you appreciate about your character, in English, every single night.
And if I can offer one final piece of encouragement, just remember to speak to yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would offer a best friend.
Yes.
You are learning, and that is enough.
It is absolutely enough. And before we go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to kind of mull over on your own. The sources mentioned a really striking statistic. Spending just 2 hours a day scrolling through social media adds up to almost 700 hours a year.
700 hours.
700 hours. If you took just a tiny fraction of those hours, time that is currently spent looking at other people's highlight reels, and used it to practice gratitude and build a loving relationship with yourself, imagine the person you would finally have the pleasure to meet.
That is a powerful question.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, you are welcome here exactly as you are. Keep practicing. We'll see you next time.